Welcome in, everybody, to Beyond the Tape with 32 Beat Writers here live from Hancock Whitney Stadium. As you can see in the background, we're down here in Mobile, Alabama. TJ, our new college football and draft analyst here, is with me live. Man, great day for football today. I think I got a little bit sunburned, a little bit more than I did yesterday. We're going to see. I don't know if it can come through on the camera there or not, but I'm certainly starting to feel it. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. You know what? Actually, a little bit of sunburn might go a long way. I tend to look a little washed out on camera, look a little pale. So, maybe that's the strategy. Get a little sunburnt, and I'll start looking like a really healthy-looking human being.
Yeah. Always last year, same thing happened. Coming from the Northeast, winter is like not good for me. Coming from Pennsylvania and then down here, I just assume it's going to be like 12 degrees, and it's not. So, obviously we're here live at the practice field. So if you guys have any questions, I do want to let you know, like you can put something in the comments, whether you're following us and viewing this on YouTube or on X, wherever you happen to find us. And if you don't already follow us and you're looking at this on YouTube, make sure to go over to X or Twitter, whatever you call it, Blue Sky, whatever you want to follow us at 32, that's 32 Beat Writers. And you can go ahead and make sure to stay up to date with our coverage of the Senior Bowl, as well as all the other stuff that we bring you. With that being said, let's dive right into it here. Yep. We got some winners, we got some losers. We're going to hit the highlights mostly of the winners, say mostly positive, but there are some guys that I think we're going to have to bring up, potentially like an entire position that I think we're going to have to bring up in the later category of that. But let's just go ahead and start. I wrote down, I today mostly focused on like wide receivers, running backs. And so one of the guys and tight ends, and one of the guys that stood out was Miami tight end. He stood out yesterday, of course, as well. And that is Elijah Arroyo, 6'4", 251 pounds. The thing that I kind of noted today is like, it seemed like there was quite a few times where he'd be fighting through some contact. There was one particular play right over there on the field, on the sideline, where they had two guys on him. And just like he had no problem fighting through that. I don't recall if he caught the ball or not, but it was just impressive that he has that strength and that power to get through, guys that are trying to stop him because they know that the ball is going to be coming his way in these practices, a big friendly target. I don't know if you got to see too much of him, but he seemed pretty impressive.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And he was a guy that came in at 251 pounds. I think Miami had him listed at 245. We talked about him yesterday as well, and I'm going to hit on another guy we talked about early on yesterday in just a second. But he was one of these guys that, okay, he's a little bit bigger. Okay, let's see how he moves on the field. And he has passed that with flying colors so far these 2 days. And honestly, like, there's going to be a couple guys I mentioned here. Wouldn't be shocked if they're not here tomorrow. Like, there has been good money made from a lot of these guys. And I can see where Arroyo has, tapped the bank, so to speak. But he's been smooth mover, multiple different routes. He's been an outlet in the flat. He's been good after the catch, sure hands, fighting through traffic, like you said, big wide catch radius. He's one of it's a great tight end class. Different guys for different flavors. But he's going to be one of these guys that you're going to be hard-pressed not to see a consensus top 5 tight end group with Elijah Arroyo not in it. And again, loaded group, different opinions out there, but Arroyo, more often than not, I think is going to be somewhere in people's top 5.
Yeah, and he had a really nice route against the safety from Illinois State. I think Jackson, number 13. I don't recall the first name. But, yeah, that one as well, very, very impressive. You also had a guy you wanted to bring up here.
My first winner, I'll start with honorable mention to Gray Zabel. We don't normally do honorable mentions off top, but Arroyo and Zabel were my 2 biggest winners yesterday. Didn't want to come back at you with the 2 biggest winners being the same thing again today. But Zabel, he may be IOL 1 at this point. Like, he has just looked fantastic at 3 different spots. He's a plug-and-play guy for a lot of teams right now. But I'm going to go with Mike Green. He's another one of these guys that wouldn't shock me if he's not back here tomorrow. Speed to power, you see the first step, and then at 251 pounds, that was a good weigh-in for him, a lot bigger than what he was at Marshall, and you're seeing that power element to his game. Short arms, but again, with that explosive first step, he's dictating the point of contact with his quicks. And I feel like you can do that a little bit more on the defensive line. Another guy that won't be in our top 3, but honorable mention, Walter Nolan. There wasn't a snap where Nolan was on the field where he wasn't the first off the ball. Him and Green are both super explosive athletes, and especially Green, he's making up for some shorter arms. And again, wouldn't shock me if he's not here tomorrow. He was killing in the one-on-one drills again.
Yeah, and I think there's a video of that, of him just putting, I don't know who it was, but right on their butt, like right off the jump.
Actually, we had an interview with Josh Connerly this morning, and he was great yesterday, but it was Mike Green putting Connerly on his ass, and there's really no other way to put it. It's just, sometimes you outman someone across from you, and that was Mike Green in that rep.
Yeah. All right. Well, another guy I wanted to bring up here was running back out of SMU, Brashard Smith. We did talk to him earlier in the week. If you haven't already, you can go back and see that interview and some of our previous videos here if you're looking on YouTube. 5'9", 195, a little bit lighter for some people's tastes. I know, there's some people that think that he may or may not be able to play a full complement of downs for an NFL team. But I think Bucky Irving is somebody who you keep mentioning as somebody that has proven that may not be the case. And one thing specifically that I saw from Brashard Smith today was just the pass catching ability. I mean, again, they're running down on the fields there against linebackers, and a lot of guys, I think they might have a choice. I don't know if the coach tells them exactly what to do or how that works, but a lot of them are running these table routes or whatever. But Smith had an opportunity at least and made the most of it on like kind of a wheel streak route out of the backfield, and that just beautiful over the shoulder catch, totally dusted the linebacker with a little shimmy right at, maybe about 5 yards, and then just beautiful catch. So really great to see that from him.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, obviously receiver background, Miami transferred to SMU, and that was an SMU team with speed up and down its roster. And I think Brashard Smith, exemplifies that. And we talked about him again yesterday, especially in the pass catching drills. Also yesterday, looked really good when able to bounce it outside. And again, the comp, Bucky Irving, 5'9", 194. And this is not like a play style comp. It's more so, same narrative was out about Bucky Irving last year. Sub 205 pounds is a tough threshold not to meet. Can he play a large complementary downs, like you said? And Brashard Smith's in that same spot. Also, wouldn't shock me, if some water weight finds its way to his body once we get to the combine, and maybe he does get a hair over 200 pounds there in Indy. But that being said, what we have right now, 5'9", 194. Again, Irving, 5'9", 194. So very similar there. And, Bucky was a pretty good pass catcher this year for Tampa, but Brashard Smith, obviously, with his background, is super well-versed. And, again, with his explosive nature, to be able to get outside. And it's going to be an interesting conversation. If he's as good as I think he is, I think back to Jahmyr Gibbs when he was in Detroit, right? Like, Monty's the guy you want to run between the tackles, and Gibbs out wide. I think you're starting to see a shift in NFL teams where it's like, he may not be the bruiser body type, but that one-cut ability plays between the tackles. And if anything, you're allowing less time for guys to be able to catch you on the sideline. So, it's going to be an interesting conversation with Brashard, but he's, again, showcasing explosiveness, good vision, and excellent pass-catching ability.
All right, there's another guy you wanted to bring up that's faced a little bit of adversity coming into the Senior Bowl. We were kind of surprised to see him. What did you see from wide receiver Jack Bash?
Yeah, he's been my second winner today, and it was more the same from yesterday. We tweeted out the nice ball from Seth Hennigan, but it was also a great adjustment midair from Jack Bash. And he's one of these guys where, he's 6'2", he's good at power slot ability, but also today we saw him a lot on the outside. And it's that flexibility. If he can add that and showcase a large sample size here at the Senior Bowl, playing on the outside, he just becomes this jack of all trades almost for an NFL offense. Play him inside, play him outside, use him as a blocker. He looked good there as well. But he's just a sharp route runner. He had a rep today against Maxwell Hairston, and Hairston's going to be one of the best corners in this class when it comes to click and close, natural closing ability, and his speed. And maybe a little bit of a push off, but we have referees here, and if they're not throwing a flag, they're looking directly at a one-on-one rep. If you're not throwing a flag, looking at a one-on-one, I'm not going to take it as a flag, and they didn't throw a flag there. So maybe a little bit of a push off, but getting separation against one of the best click and close corners kind of exemplifies what we saw out of Jack Bash. Big friendly target, but he is very sudden out of his breaks. Then he also had that great contested catch up the right sideline that we also posted. And, a lot of comments. I'll just get out in front of this one. It was as much OPI as it was DPI. It's sometimes, again, we have refs here, and sometimes you see reps in the NFL where guys are fighting all the way through and it's an even fight. So let the play, and that's exactly what they did. Won the best ball from Milrow, but you can see where Besh, just natural instincts, great ball tracking, able to make that grab in contested coverage.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't take anything away from him on that one.
Better catch than I could make.
Yeah, an absolutely awesome catch on an underthrown ball, as you basically said. And if there was OPI, it was only after the DPI was initiated first, in my opinion. So another guy I just wanted to bring up here at the end, kind of for my third, is Jalen Knoll, Iowa State wide receiver there. We talked to him this morning. Really great interview, by the way. You should check that out again if you haven't. We have all these interviews up on our YouTube there at 32 Beat Writers. But he had, I don't know if it was the play of the day or not, but it certainly got the crowd going. It was just a catch along the close sideline here, so it was a perfect view for us in the crowd on a one-on-one early in the morning, and just contested catch, like I said, along the sideline, went up, just made an awesome grab through quite a bit of contact, and that really got everybody excited.
Yeah, not to pat myself on the back, I got some good footage that we posted out today and got reposted by other accounts. That was the one I regret not getting. It was the very first one-on-one rep, though, of that period. So I was still getting my phone out, gathering, my notebook and everything, but I was in the perfect spot to see it was right in front of me. And it was, hey, he's 5'9", but the ball tracking, this is just a natural football player. Don't overthink this. He's got inside-out flexibility. We talked to him about it again this morning, as well as yesterday on the field. The guy's a gamer, and he's also a guy that utilizing jet motion. Put him in the backfield. He's got great vision, great instincts as a runner as well, and you see that in the yards after the catch ability, option routes, and we saw him inside, out, contested catches, shaking defenders from the slot. At this point, he's starting to come with a full package here, and he's a receiver hard not to like.
Yeah, and we'll see. I don't know. Like tomorrow, we'll see. Sometimes some guys drop out on day 3 if they feel like they've shown enough. I don't know if he's quite in that category or not.
Maybe not Noel, but some of the earlier guys I could definitely see. I think Besh Noel will probably be back tomorrow. Yeah. Green, Zabel, and Arroyo. They're kind of the 3 where I'm like, wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, and for somebody like Noel tomorrow, we're going to be looking at red zone, I think, quite a bit. And so that could be a really big thing for him. So make sure to tune in, keep an eye out for that tomorrow as well.
To that point, I think that's a great point, because oftentimes the easiest way that we think about red zone offense is size and physicality. And that's certainly true. Sometimes that is how you score in the red zone. But also think about Devontae Adams. Yes, big target, but also a savant at creating separation. Jalen Noel, if they put him in the slot and let him run those option routes, he's on the same page with his quarterback, he's going to create separations, and he's going to score a lot of quote-unquote red zone touchdowns tomorrow, and he's going to keep boosting his stock, and he's going to be a big winner out of the entire week. All right, my third winner, I mean, if you know me, there have not been many guys. Actually, I said there's no guy I'm more excited to see than Shamar Stewart. I have been so pumped to get to see this guy. I thought he could have a Darius Robinson type of week. I don't know if he's completely stole the week, but some of that's also Zabel's been great. Green's been great. Arroyo's kind of stolen a lot of attention. He hasn't disappointed. And we saw it in a lot of different ways today. He's crushed the one-on-ones. Again, with his size and length, and it's almost unfair for any tackle to keep up with that behemoth of a human. But he also had a really nice rep that Trevor Sickle at Pro Football Focus tweeted out, where, Emory Jones is probably a guard. The foot speed's not quite there. He had some really nice reps, and I'll talk about him in the honorable mentions. But a tackle, the foot speed's not there. And it was just nice to see Shamar Stewart just dip the shoulder, go up and around him. That's just not something you see a whole lot of on his tape. He's a super explosive athlete, but a lot of times he'll just go through guys and almost initiate contact because he knows he's bigger and stronger and longer than most people. So it was nice to see them add that speed element into his game. And at this point, it's just hard not to like him. He's the number 12 player on my board, though, so it's hard to think about how much more he can move up, but he's a player I love, and he has not disappointed this week.
All right, well, let's get to some of your honorable mentions that you got down there real quick.
Yeah, I'll be quick with this because there's a lot of names. And honestly, I'll say, we talked about it yesterday. It's a great competitive environment, and there haven't been any, I don't think, outright losers. I don't know if there's been any guy where it's like, they haven't won a single rep. This was just a tough week for them. Even the UNC interior offensive lineman, Willie hit sticks 52. It will hit stick 52 on X. It's a great ad. But he's looked great. He's 5'11", 270. He's taken snaps at guard and center. He's been stellar. So even some of these later ads are finding their moments to stand out. Kyle Washington, receiver from Washington State, another one of those guys, added a little bit later. He's really shined in kind of a gadget role as well as a separator inside and out. Another smaller school guy and maybe a little bit overlooked, Upton Stout. He's just been so calm, cool, collected. He has not looked phased by anybody's athleticism, which has been great to see, especially coming in a step up in competition. Like I said, Walter Nolan, if he's on the field, there's not a guy that's quicker off the line of scrimmage than Walter Nolan. And he's been my IDL too, pretty much this entire process. And I think this is a week where he may well clinch that. Again, a lot of talent at that position. There's going to be a varying opinion there. Donovan Edwards looked great as a pass catcher. And we had an interview with him, and he really prefaced that he wants to showcase his third down ability. And he had a couple of reps where he was just putting linebackers on the ground. And, then you get the crowd into it. So he had a really, really nice day. Ozzie Trapilo, tackle from Boston College, 6'7". Arms a little bit shorter than 34 inches, but I think he'll be able to hold up just fine to tackle. And I think he had a pretty good day, too. Jonas Savanaia, kicking inside to play guard. I like his movement skills. But, again, the foot speed is kind of the question. Can he do that at the next level? He had some okay reps yesterday at tackle, but I do think interior offensive line, that's where it's the question that we were talking about yesterday with some of these guys. Okay, tackle, really nice interior offensive lineman. That's going to be the debate. That flexibility goes a long way, but man, especially in a zone blocking scheme, get this guy out and move. Great anchor, but also tons of power when working forward. Yeah, he's going to be some offense's favorite guy there in a wide zone scheme, or even zone for that matter. Eugene Asante, I just wanted to shout him out. there wasn't a rep where this guy wasn't on the field where he was not letting his voice be heard. There were so many "oh yes" from this guy. I did that, and I just love that energy, and it just kind of adds to the atmosphere. So and I mean, there's a lot of things you want out of a linebacker, but energy and tone setting, Asante's got you there. Mason Taylor looked really fluid again today. Wanted to shout him out yesterday. He's just such a natural athlete. He's been in contention for my tight end 3 for a while. Arroyo giving him a good run for his money, but smooth route runner, great hands, great concentration, had a near drop, but able to make the catch right before the sideline on a really hot coming in pass. But he was able to adjust and make that grab. So been impressed with him. Jackson Slater, small school guy, but he's really stood out, especially at center. And this is a center group that could use some reinforcements maybe. So Jackson Slater, a guy that I'm going to have to go back and double check some tape on and see where he can fare in my interior offensive line rankings. And then getting back to Emory Jones. They do the best of one-on-ones at the very end of the day.
Yep.
And normally it's just 1 rep. But him and Baron Sorrell from Texas.
3 times.
Yeah, 3 reps just going back and forth. And the first rep, it kind of looked like to me Sorrell won it, and Emory Jones was not having it. So they run it back, and that time Emory Jones, definitive winner. And then the 3rd rep, Baron Sorrell, long arm, he got to the quarterback there. So it was a great battle from 2 guys that I think are maybe a little lost in the shuffle with how good of a class at each one of those positions they have. I think Emory Jones, again, move him inside. He's a mauler. He's got a ton of power. He'll be your best friend in a run game. And Sorrell really stood out. A lot of position alignment there on the defensive line for him. And then one more inter-offensive lineman, Clay Webb. Slow start for him yesterday. Really thought he picked it up after his first 3 reps and then showcased a lot of versatility today. Former 4-star recruit, Georgia player, transferred to Jacksonville State. Didn't have quite the season I was hoping he would have, but between the latter stages of yesterday and today, he's really stood out. 2 more receivers. Ty Felton looked really good today, as well as Arian Smith. He's got some drop problems, but Arian Smith was putting his speed on display, and he was holding on to it today. So really impressed with his game.
All right, sounds good. Well, let's go ahead and pay the bills real quick, and then we will go ahead and get into some of our unfortunate losers for the week, for the day. Life's a grind, and it feels like every minute counts between work, personal commitments, and trying to stay on top of your fantasy team. It can be a lot, and that's why we're excited to tell you about Finalist, the app that is built to help you prioritize and optimize your day-to-day tasks. It helps you plan everything from work projects to personal errands and prospect draft analysis. Finalist helps you get more out of your day by breaking tasks down into manageable steps so you can stay organized and never miss a deadline, whether it's for work or fantasy football. So if you want to crush your to-do list and stay on top of your fantasy squad, head over to finalist.works today and use code BEAT50. That's code BEAT50 for 50% off and get an exclusive discount on their premium plan. Start organizing your day like a pro and watch your life level up. That's code BEAT50 at finalist.works today. All right, TJ, the quarterbacks, I think just as a whole, we have to look at and say, all right, like, it's not as if everything was awful, but like there just was not a lot of, oh, wow, that was great. And there was a lot of, I'm not sure I really like that.
Yeah, I will say I think it's an improvement on where we were yesterday, which we were anticipating. And we have to say Thursday again, red zone. That's the day where they're going to make their money and move themselves up the board. Tight areas. Can you fit it into tight windows? Are you playing on time with your receivers? Tomorrow's going to be a big day for these quarterbacks. But I think from the national practice, pretty comfortably, Tyler Shook was probably the best. I know that may be a little surprising for some with Dylan Gabriel. Gabriel was probably the best of the 3 yesterday. But started the day with a fumble from under center, and Jackson Dart had 2 yesterday. I think Gabriel had 2 yesterday. These guys who just don't play under center in college, you're starting to see where the Senior Bowl is putting them in uncomfortable situations, and saw that once again from Gabriel. We'll come back to Dart, but no fumbles from him today that I saw. So that's a step in the right direction for him. Gabriel also had just had a couple of tough misses. I tweeted out a clip, but some of it's also good play from his teammate, Jeffrey Bassett, but just a couple of uncanny misses from Gabriel today. Shook, he's an older prospect. He's going to be, I think, 25 by the time we get to rookie camp. Yeah. So definitely an older prospect. He's bounced around from, Oregon to the Big 12 and then most recently at Louisville. But what you expect out of Tyler Shook, you saw today. Big arm, letting it loose. And I would say about 80% of the time, ball placement was right on the money. Couple misses you'd like to see him hit on, but more often than not, he was on the mark. And then real quick, not to throw anybody under the bus, but I think the quarterback you want most out of, or it leaves the most to be desired, is probably Taylor Elgersma. And we had a great interview with him, and he's a great kid. But
very popular, honestly, around here as well. Yeah.
And I'm wishing the best for him, but I think you're seeing the speed in which these guys are moving kind of get to him. And really, Some of it's just he's like leaving balls behind because I just don't think he's just not there with his receivers yet. So maybe tomorrow changes and he'll have a better idea of where the ball should be placed. But it's also just the pocket presence. Like guys are getting on him quick, and you just got to get rid of the football. So, he size checks the box there, arm checks the box there. He's solid on the move for someone that big. But ball placement's been a little underwhelming, a little under, a lot of these deep targets, and then pocket presence got to get cleaned up. But we'll see. He's going to be an interesting story. I'm sure he'll still have the opportunity to sign UDFA maybe somewhere, and who knows, maybe able to get into the late rounds when we get to the NFL draft. He'd be a hell of a story if he does. But it's just going to be a question of if this was the showcase. But I mean, all that said, it's kind of amazing that he's here, right? Like this is an unprecedented story.
Props to him, right? And props to his agent for getting that
absolutely
way in as well. Yeah, I think with him, like some of the better balls that I've seen have maybe even been from him, but also some of the not better balls have, to put it that way, have also been from him. So it's been a very hit or miss, even in like one-on-ones. And I think that's where if he's being pass rush and the pocket's collapsing pretty quickly, you can kind of start to make some excuses. All right, he's getting used to that game that like you said is different from maybe what he's used to playing. But like in the one-on-ones, like still like man, I wish I could see a little bit more consistency there. So
consistency is the thing. He's had some good balls too, and that might be enough to give a team like, okay, there might be something here, and you're not drafting him to be your franchise quarterback day one. But he's one of these developmental pieces that I am curious to see what teams want to do. I mean, it's a QB-needy league, right? Like we're always looking for the next breakout. So, maybe a team will give him a shot there. Let's jump over to the American roster.
Yeah.
I think comfortably Jackson Dart was the best. I think today was what people were hoping out of Jackson Dart. And we're starting to get there. I think the second half of yesterday, it started to click. And then today, man, he was spinning it. And it was, in some tight window throws. I didn't get tweeted out, so follow me on X. I'll also make sure it's shared by 32 beat writers. But in the best of one-on-one drills, it was bringing Stoll the tight end from Clemson. Great coverage from Bowman, the safety from Oklahoma. Razor sharp window, and Dart put it on the money. So we're starting to see a little bit more of these things that are more translatable to the NFL game. Lane Kiffin's a great coach and a great schematic mind, and he's going to engineer a lot of open throws, and it's a lot of RPOs in that offense. Dart today started to look like he might fit the part for a prototypical NFL offense. And then honestly, I think the next best is probably Riley Leonard. It's more of Riley Leonard in the sense of kind of what you saw this year at Notre Dame. Nothing that's going to wow you and be like, wow, got to draft this guy at number one. But it's just more steady play. Also should be noted, especially yesterday, I think he was the best quarterback on display. He's also the guy who's most recently played. He has, was coming off a national championship 9 days ago now. So he is the guy who has definitely taken the least amount of time off. But he has looked well. We've been able to. He's looked good throwing the ball. He's been good on the move, and he fits the part from a stature standpoint. I heard a lot of people talking about him, and a lot of people saying, "Hey, it was me. I'd take him. He's the guy. QB3, I'd take." So there's certainly some love here around the Senior Bowl for him. Seth Hennigan would probably be my third, and it's nothing against Jalen Milroe. Not like he was terrible all the way around. We tweeted out a good throw that he had to the Florida receiver whose name's now escaping me, but Hennigan just really hasn't done anything that's necessarily caught my eye other than that ball yesterday. He's been solid, and he hasn't embarrassed anything. But I just tomorrow we'll get a better look at Seth Hennigan. And then Jalen Milroe, it's been spotty accuracy. You do get that pretty deep ball, but a lot of the mundane, a lot of the boring is just still a work in progress. And honestly, once you get into the 11 on 11s, man, he's pretty comfortable checking it down, which is not a bad thing. But it's one of those things where, like, you only do it so long. You can only do that so much. So I wanted to see if he could attack the middle of the field, the intermediate parts of the field at 10 to 20-yard range. And I don't know if I've seen a pass there yet. And maybe I just haven't seen it, but it's been deep, or it's been a miss over the middle, or it's been checked down. So still waiting to see it from Jalen Milroe. Hasn't been quite the breakout week that we saw. And actually, on one rep, this was probably his low light of the day.
Yes.
He would have been sacked by, it's a couple of Notre Dame players too. So as a Fighting Irish fan, this was, a rep of my, day right here. RJ Open beats the right tackle, gets around the corner. They would have called it a sack, but right as they're starting to call it, or if it was a real game, it would have been a sack.
Yeah.
But right as they start to blow the whistle, it's a sack. He throws a pick to Jack Kaiser, who, by the way, another honorable mention. I thought Kaiser looked pretty good today. But yeah, he just found another Fighting Irish defender there, and that was a tough rep. And then you hear like collective groans from the stands of, ugh, So that's stuff we didn't want to see from Jalen, but unfortunately, we're gonna have to wait until tomorrow to see if he can change the image of his week.
Yeah, when that happened, I immediately texted you. You were up here filming one side, and I was down there filming the other. And I just think, we've in general just wanted to see a little bit more, and that one was just really like the guy was like Kaiser was just sitting there for like seconds, and it was an underthrown ball and one that just really he either A shouldn't have thrown, or B should have made sure to get up and over, and it just was not great.
And I mean, to the point, Taylor Elgersma had a very similar pick in that first practice to Cody Lindenberg, linebacker from Minnesota, and it was one where like Lindenberg was he didn't move. He didn't move, not an inch. He was just in the frame the entire time, and just a tough interception. And one's a guy coming from an unprecedented story getting here, and then the other's Jalen Milroe. So it's just a tough spot, and hasn't been the breakout week just so far. Which I hate to say, like I'm hoping tomorrow we get to turn around all this conversation with these guys, but got to talk some losers as well.
All right. Well, with that, guys, make sure to follow us if you don't already at 32 Beat Writers wherever you are watching this, or find us at Beyond the Beat / Beyond the Tape wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be back here tomorrow. We're going to be heading over right now to the Media Day back down in downtown Mobile. So go ahead, give us a follow. Make sure you're here tomorrow for that. And with that, we will see you later.